Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. We're here at MJ BizCon in Las Vegas, live in front of the World Trade Center building. And so we've got Dan Kimmis, who just got into town, landed, already checked out a store. You bought a pre-roll that was infused, $28. They have a tasting room, not to be confused with the marijuana lounge because that's not legal.
Right.
So how was it?
You know, actually, it was amazing. The store footprint, it's about 5,000 square feet. It's Nuwu, N-U-W-U, okay, Nuwu. And then it was really nice. The service was great. And then they had kind of their own unique ordering process and all of this stuff. The tasting lounge, etc. I dig it. You know, I get around some, and I thought it was a really cool experience.
So how does that compare to some of the ones that you've been in California and San Francisco? You went to...
So I've been to Mo Green's.
Mo Green's?
Okay, so you buy at the counter and you can consume on site. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've been to...
And in West Hollywood, what used to be called Lowell's is now called the Original Cannabis Lounge or something.
Yeah. So, been there. That's more like a restaurant and weed instead of booze, right? So that was actually a very special and unique experience. I love that. So I haven't had any bad cannabis lounge experiences yet.
And you mostly get pre-rolls, right? So you're not getting a device. You don't have to worry about herpes that apparently broke out at the previous Lowell's. So if you do get a device, use some alcohol. Clean
right.
That.
Well, you know, practice good hygiene with anything you do, right? You don't just take, you know, somebody just walks up and says, "Here, have this pipe." You don't do that, right? You don't do that. So anyway, yeah, I actually, inside the cafe there, I had a fantastic experience. I dealt with some pre-rolls. I also got some raw flower and rolled up my own fatties because that's just how I am.
So we're expecting over 1,000 booths, approximately 1,300 at least. There was 1,000 last year. There's apparently 30% increase. And then
go there. Beyond
that, 30,000 people showing up. I think in 2015 there was 2,800 people, and then almost 10,000, and then 18,000, and now maybe 30,000, and so exponential growth for sure. So we're gonna go to the floor and check it out.
I dig it.
All right, Katrina Glogowski, she's an angel investor and attorney. You were on a panel. You spoke at MJ BizCon. You were there. Here's a little recap for anybody who wasn't. There was 35,000 attendees from 75 countries, over 1,500 booths. What did you think?
Huge, almost too big. I was there for days, and I was not even able to walk the entire floor. And I tried. I made an effort to do so, and I was not able to walk the entire 4 miles of booths.
I filmed myself going from one wall to the other wall, and it took over 3 minutes. And I walked at a very fast pace. And so trying to just see the perimeter took me about 10 or 15 minutes to get back from where I started. And then I would walk down the main aisles, you know, from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. But I probably covered, you know, single digits, 8-9% of the total floor. And I mean, I saw enough. I saw a lot of repeats, a lot of the same thing I've seen everywhere I go. I didn't really see anything that was new, neat, or niche. There are some cool things that are out there, though. We'll talk about that a little bit later. There's a lot more pre-roll automation. I'm talking full automation where it grinds it, weighs it, twists the tops, all of that completely hands-free. That's going to dramatically change the way that pre-rolls are made and sold. And so I'm expecting, you know, a lot more kind of normalization with other industries in terms of, you know, the price points coming way down. But I also found the interesting number overall, where I think it represents a plateau in the industry. And what I mean by that is when I would go to the networking events, the parties afterwards, there were so many parties that I feel everyone kind of wanted to have their own party, which meant that no one was at the big parties. Normally you have 3 or 4 of the main sponsors and a lot of people would go there. Whereas this year there was a ton of opportunities. Just like the industry, I think that you don't have an opportunity to get to all of those. And so when you have too many parties and not enough attendees, they kind of just don't feel that successful. And I would make that analogy to the overall industry. There's too much going on, not enough customers, and it's going to fail.
I don't think MJ BizCon is going to fail anytime soon.
That was
Uh,
my analogy for the cannabis industry,
right.
is that it's too big. But no, MJ BizCon is going to be around for a while. They're going to keep taking these CBD mom and pop money, and whoever else thinks, packaging and dirt and all of the lighting companies, all of these like multiple companies. In any other industry, you have a lighting expo and you have a dirt expo and you have a processing expo. You don't have, agricultural expo. It would just be crazy, be way too big. So I definitely think it's gotten too big for its britches, that the industry needs to consolidate.
I think they need to stagger the parties, and for valid reason though. Go from 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to midnight, midnight to 2, because everybody wants to go to the parties. That's where the business is conducted primarily. Nobody wants to be talking about their absolute lowest possible price on the floor of the convention center. They want to have a little bit of privacy, but it was just, I struggled to attend even a third of the social events provided, number one, by MJ BizCon, and number two, all of the private parties and connected parties afterwards. It was just impossible. And one of my comments for folks who are throwing a party at MJ BizCon, when you walk into a party and there's only 100 people there, you got to ask yourself why. Because these parties are wonderful parties, theme parties, definitely very expensive to put on. But when you walk in, there's only 100 people, you're turning around and walking out because there's 8 other parties to go to. And you don't want that to happen. You really don't. So coordinate with your colleagues and have a schedule. Like I said, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 2, so that everybody gets a chance to go to all of the parties.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too that most of them are on the last day, Thursday night. So, if you had them the night before, or even the day before, Tuesday night or Wednesday night would be ideal, especially with something like the Jack Herer Cup that's down there, in order for somebody whoever wins that award, to bring it to the MJ BizCon, and show off that award. Just like my friend Jason Lammers of 420 Wholesale Pack, who won first place for best new packaging. He has a joint tube made from 100% recycled material. And so he was only able to kind of show his award on the very last day, which had the lowest attendance by far. Never did get to the point where there was a buzz on the floor. Just too many parties, I think, too many people exhausted, and very, very low attendance on the last day.
And this is another indication. I don't know if people understand, MJ BizCon actually is all week. Monday is the investor conference. Tuesday is the hemp conference. And then the cannabis piece is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And that's great. And all the people at the convention center have to be there on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. setting up their booth, or hopefully by the time the doors open at 10, they're ready to go. So how come you're not having a party on Tuesday? How come you're not having a party on Wednesday? Waiting until Thursday is just not the way to go. But I think that it's also an indication that it's just too big. That's all I can really take away from this. I go to MJ BizCon to make connections with people. If I spent 30 seconds at each booth, which is not enough to talk to people, certainly to get information about an interesting product, I would never, ever make it through. You just have to decide ahead of time. I am going to look at machinery, and that's not helping anybody. Also, I think MJ BizCon, and I was very happy and honored to speak at MJ BizCon, so I want to be nice to the MJ BizCon people, but I think that they should change up the conference a little bit. So especially on the panels, so just make it easy. The first day is all about grow. The second day is all about processing. And the third day is all about selling it, where you're selling it, who, international, whatever you're doing. But even having, they had 3 separate tracks of presenters at MJ BizCon, which made it even hard to attend a conference seminar that you were interested in, because there were 3 of them that you were interested at the same time. It was so hard to do that. And when there's a line 50 people deep that want to talk to you, and you have 7 minutes in between panels, there's no way you can talk to them. There's not enough time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I heard from a few people that they were there just to go and see whatever it was that they were there to see, and there just wasn't enough time to learn or see other things. So, if you want to go to a conference and stay on top of what's going on in the industry, you need to be able to give them that opportunity to do so. 3 days should be enough. But a lot of people that I know went for just 1 day and they were gone. They just didn't come back after that first day. And I would say most people did not come on that third day. It was just silent, really, really dead on the final day.
That's
But
because they had all the parties on Thursday night, and you were going from party to party to party to party to party to party to party on Thursday. You were exhausted on Friday. I'm surprised even exhibitors made it on Friday.
Some of them were there physically. I talked to this company called Coda, and all they had was automate cannabis. And that was it. So I walked up to an individual and I said, "Hey, tell me about how you're automating cannabis." And he cocks his head to the side and he's like, "What do you want to know?" I'm like, "Wow, this guy must be struggling." And I'm like, "Well, what do you do in automating? Do you automate the grow? Do you automate the end process with pre-rolls? I mean, what do you do?" And he said, "Well, what do you want to know?" And I was like, "Well, how many times do I have to ask you for an elevator pitch? Like I should have just walked away, but I don't know. I thought like I needed to give him a third example of what I needed to hear from him. And at that point, he just gave me his card and said, "Well, we've got some stuff online." I was like, "Wow, man, like, okay, if you're going to have your company bring you to this show, you might want to stay alert enough to just give a 30-second elevator pitch. I don't care how many times you had to do it for 3 days. That's why you're there." And the flack that I got was like one of the rudest encounters I've had in 5 or 6 years of being in this industry at a trade show. Which is why I'm talking about it right now, because people need to know that Coda needs to figure their shit out. Because if you're going to automate cannabis, tell me about it. Because instead of talking the way I am about Coda, maybe the folks from Coda could have better individuals on the floor so that I would actually know what Coda does. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, I also saw several innovative products, and it's very. I've been to these. You've been to these. We've been going for years. It's very hard to see something truly new. But I saw these dab tabs, and the name of the company, since Josh is name dropping, is, guess what? Dab Tabs. Dabtabs.com. And it's this little, about the size of an aspirin, and it's ceramic encasing a dab, half-gram dab. And then you can put your little dab tab into any conventional vape unit that'll reach 450 degrees. So somebody like me, I'm sort of on the older end of some of these cannabis consumers, and I'm not taking a blowtorch to a dab unit. I will never, ever do such a thing, because I'm going to set myself on fire. I just know I will. And if I don't set myself on fire, I'm going to set Josh on fire. So I'm not taking a blowtorch. And so this innovation is this ceramic little capsule. It's not a capsule, tablet, a ceramic tablet, 450 degrees. Then the pores of the ceramic open, and you can vape your dab unit. Keeps it clean. Now you're saying, oh no, some 2-year-old is going to think it's candy and eat 4,000 of them. And guess what? It's ceramic. And unless your little baby's tummy gets to 450 degrees, they're just going to pass it right through. Your
Mm.
dog. Oh my God, dog ate my weed. How many times have we heard this story? Dog will just pass it right through unless your dog gets to 450 degrees. So that was a very innovative product. It satisfies some of the industry need for safety. It's truly, I mean, talk about portable. I mean, you can just walk around with it in your pocket. It's encased in ceramic. You can just have these little tablet looking things in your pocket. You don't need anything special. And then it allows you to put it in a traditional vape unit instead of a blowtorch. That's great. And they are truly innovating. So the company is Dab Tabs out of Oregonian land,
Mm.
of all places in the universe. So something to look for.
Yeah, it reminds me of as a kid growing up, they had these candies on a sheet of paper, and they were different colored candies that you just like hard candies. You'd rip them off. Most of the time, the paper came with it, and as a kid, you didn't care. You just threw this candy in your mouth and ate the paper with it. So hopefully, it's a better experience than that. But it never stopped me as a kid. I just kept popping those. So maybe as an adult, I'll just do that with the dab tab, and it won't matter.
I don't know. I did not partake in such a product, but that is innovation. And that is,
Hmm.
we've talked a little bit previously about M&A, venture capital, and corporate America entering the market and planning ahead. Well, how about your number one concern being safety in some 2-year-old eating a handful of cannabis?
Hmm.
Corporate America loves this. Little dab tabs, they just pass right through and no harm, no foul.
That would have saved me $700 rather than pumping my dog's stomach. So I kind of like the idea. Definitely kind of a new, innovative, neat niche product. Haven't really seen anything like that. So I am willing to take one of those dabs and tell you all about it.
We'll go down to Oregonian land for Indo Expo or something like that.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Anyway, generally speaking, though, there very little truly new innovation did I see on the floor. There are perfecting existing processes. So, for example, your joint rolling machine. We've had joint rolling machines for a very long time, but to truly automate it is good. But it's still just another joint rolling machine that, quite frankly, most of the farmers, most of the processors probably can't afford
Mhm.
to purchase. But it there was just so much. I'd be hard pressed to name any. Oh, the Da Vinci people were there. I remember them because I have a Da Vinci. No endorsement made there. But then the other people were Emerald Harvest. They're a soil company. And you know why I remember their booth? Because they had the best bag.
Best swag bag.
No, bag. Well, it was a swag bag. It was a giveaway. That's true, swag. But the design was this really intricate green goddess looking thing. It was a gorgeous bag,
Hmm.
but it was still just a little nylon bag but it was gorgeous. It stood out against everybody else. But really, I'd be hard pressed to name 10 booths in total because there was just so much. When you see 15, 20, 30 extractor booths,
Hmm.
how do you remember?
Yeah.
How do you
I remember last year at the expo in Vancouver, BC, the Lift Expo, one of the busiest booths, they were serving cold brew, not infused cold brew, just cold brew. And so your favorite booth is the one that had a bag. At MJ BizCon this year, I think the busiest area was the coffee section where people were paying for it. So I didn't really see a whole lot of people hanging out other than Mike Tyson drew a huge crowd. And then so did some of the other folks. that showed up. In addition to Mike Tyson, I think there was Tommy Chong and maybe somebody else. I don't know. But aside from the stars, there wasn't really anything worth seeing, nothing shiny or bright, new, neat, or niche. But if you did see something, let us know in the comment section. Tell us what you thought was cool about the show, or any other thing you've seen at any other show this year, as well as what you want to hear for 2020 and beyond. With that, we're going to roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Katrina Glogowski. She's an angel investor and attorney in Seattle. Thanks again for being back on the podcast.
Thanks, Josh, and see you next year at MJ BizCon.
See you next year. With that, we're going to roll this one up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.